Hello to my colleagues in A4Ali and to no doubt the people watching and listening wherever you may be around the world. My name is Gary Spracklin. I am head teacher of the Prince of Wales School in Dorchester, which is a small first school of 156 children in the county town of Dorset. I am also the technology lead for UK Learning, which is the UK branch of A4LE, the Association for Learning Environments. And my colleague Terry, who's the lead at UK Learning, has asked me just to share some recent updates from the work that we've been doing at the Prince of Wales School with you all. I joined the Prince of Wales School in September 2017 as head teacher, and from that moment onwards, we've been exploring a journey of progressing our pedagogy and our learning spaces and our technology to reflect the world in which we now live. And I'm just going to share some initial thoughts with you all today. The first thing I want to share with you, though, is actually the mantra not of my own school, but of West Thornton Primary Academy, who are another lead school here in the UK around A4LE. And this is the West Thornton Primary Academy mantra: children will surprise you, but only if you let them. And this is something I've taken on board following my visit to the school in January, and I'm trying to embed in terms of the psyche and the culture of what is happening at my school. And I'm going to come back to West Thornton in a minute, because they've certainly inspired the work that we're doing as a school to progress how learning is approached. I just want to share with you something that happened to me in a classroom. It's not the first time it happened, but this was back in January. I was teaching in a year 4 class when all of a sudden a child came up to me and said, "Mr. Spracklin, what do? I don't have a pen." And my children at my school are generally very high performing. We get great data out of our children in terms of them performing well in tests and things like that. But this really struck me that a child who's at the top of my school, a child of around 9 years old, was asking me, "What do I do if I haven't got a pen?" And what also struck me about this was that that never happens in my reception classroom, which is the start of my school, or even my preschool, which is where the children come before they come into their formal education, because children are much more independent. And I had this real concern about the education that we were giving was removing independence from the children. And it got me thinking about, well, what's stopping this? And I think at times it's the fact that the school system almost encourages a lack of independence as children move through. When we went to West Thornton, Di, the head teacher, shared a great quote about spoon feeding, and spoon feeding doing nothing but teaching us the shape of the spoon. I think it comes up in this presentation a little further on in some of the images that I share. And some of the work that we've been doing as a school and unpicking things, we've had this mantra going through, and it's the importance of being brave and taking risks. And let's be honest, the area that we're talking about today, in terms of learning space design, in terms of the use of technology in this classroom, is very much about being brave, staying true to your principles and beliefs about education in the face of all kinds of pressures. And we've got massive pressures here in the UK to conform to what is a very 19th century education model, which our authorities seem to be pushing down our throats at the moment. But that fundamentally undermines what young people can do. And increasingly, we are seeing a small number of schools, and it's great that UK Learning through A4LE are pulling these schools together to be brave and take risks. And for me, it's very much like this young lady's very first ski jump. I don't know if you've ever seen this video before.
I'll be fine. I'll do it. Well, here goes something, I guess. Oh, okay, you can do this. I'm gonna jump.
You got it.
Whoa, my ski's slipping off.
Just remember, never snowplow, okay?
No snow plows.
Keep it straight and you'll be fine.
Okay.
Big deal on the 20.
Straight. Do you go faster on the in run?
Little bit.
A little bit?
Yeah.
Is it any steeper, do you think? Not much?
Same steepness, it's just longer.
Well, just longer. Just longer. Just a bigger 20, that's all.
Yep. Have
It's a
fun.
bigger 20. Go ahead. I got it. It's fine. You'll be fine. Okay. Here. The longer you wait, you'll be more scared. That's at the top what the first time freaks you out. That's the only thing. It's so fun. Huh? 60 seems like nothing now. Whoa!
And for me, this is just a great analogy of innovation in schools, the importance of being brave, taking risks, and actually being true to your principles, jumping over that edge and delivering that impact for your young people. And I just want to share an action research project that we started here at the school back at the end of January now. We went up, myself and a colleague, to the BET Education Show, which is the biggest educational technology show in Europe. And we saw a range of technologies being used to engage, innovate, and inspire learning. And then the next day, we had a visit to West Thornton Primary Academy. And if you want to know more about West Thornton, I'd encourage you to watch this video, Learning at West Thornton Primary, which gives a great overview about the different approaches that they use in their classrooms to inspire children to learn, and the merging of pedagogy and culture and learning space and technology to deliver real outcomes. I'm not going to show that video in full because you can go onto YouTube and find that, but I will share some of the images from our own visit here. And there's that quote that I referenced earlier on. Spoon feeding in the long run teaches us nothing but the shape of the spoon. The importance of independent learning and the importance of recognising that actually it's a journey. And this school in London, they started their curriculum overhaul in 2007. They're striving for that creative curriculum, but it doesn't happen overnight. You need strong leadership, and you need direction, and you need patience to get your school into the position that West Thornton now finds themselves in. And here are some of the images of West Thornton Academy. And for me, the whole place just oozes learning. Everywhere you look, there's children learning, and there's resources to support them learning, but not in the traditional sense of children sat in rows, cells and bows. It's about creating those spaces where you can get small groups together, where you can go and edit your work. The walls always pushing that focus on learning, giving children different platforms, different areas to work and be inspired to work. The light in the rooms was incredible. The use of the technology was inspiring, and you can see 3 examples on this page of children using and collaborating online. These are spaces with up to 90 children working side by side on a range of different curriculum areas, children being pulled through in focus groups to really push that learning and to get learning in a much better place. And here's their Year 6 space. So Year 6 in a traditional primary school in the UK, it's that cramming time for the end of key stage exams. But here, it felt like a modern office. It felt like you were walking into Google or to Apple or to Microsoft, and people were collaborating and engaged in what they were doing. And for us, as colleagues coming in from another school, it was just totally inspiring. And my colleague Sam Johnson, who's my assistant head teacher here at the Prince of Wales School, I took her to West Thornton to really expose her to the potential of working in a different way. And this was the email that she sent me the following day after visiting. And she said, I've got a plan to experiment with my class following my visit to West Thornton. I've not asked her to do this. She's been to a really inspiring place, and she's come back inspired to work in a different way. She's told me to come out and pop out and see how things are going. And she wants to do this collaboratively with the children. She wants to discuss and introduce the ideas together, and then maybe on Friday present the findings. It's very much an action research project. And this is what she did. She took her traditional timetable in which she was working in subject blocks and broke it down into a timetable which looks more similar to the way the West Thornton were doing. She gave the children ownership over what they were doing. She told them that they needed to do some basic activities every day, but that they also had work across their areas. But then she didn't tell them when they had to do it. They can complete this work at any time during the week, and she added that fluidity. She added some simple things to create organisation in the classroom. So she added trays in which the children could hand in work and they could get their work from different subjects. She added an editing bench, which is something that you saw a couple of slides back on this page in the top right-hand corner here. An area where children would deliberately go to improve what they'd already done, so adding those steps into their work, which is really inspiring. And also an area where the teacher could check and hand back work. So, this is working in a very traditional space. Sam actually works in what we define as a temporary classroom, a prefabricated building. It's just a square room with 30 children in rows normally, but she started to change how they were working and change the pedagogy in terms of space. So I was really proud of that this was happening in my school, and I wanted to capture at the end of day one what the children thought of it. So I called them into my office, and I just asked them, what was this experience like so far?
Okay, so I'm here with
Henry, Sky, Una.
and your 3 year 4 students here at the Prince of Wales School.
Yes.
And today's been a bit different at the
Yeah.
Prince of Wales School. What's
Yeah.
been different, Una?
Well, instead of our teacher telling us that we have to do this and they explain it to us, we get task things that we have to do throughout the week, and then we decide what we want to do in that day. But
And
there's certain things you got to do in the day.
so it's been a different structure today.
Yeah.
It's the very first day you've worked in this way. What have you thought of it, Henry?
Oh, it's been really good. Definitely better than other days. I think we should do it every single week because, instead of saying, well, if you're not in the mood, say you're not in the mood for doing geography, so you're in the mood for maths instead. You can choose to do maths instead of geography. But if you've got a timetable, you're going to have to do geography. But you get to choose.
So
what
how's
to
your
do.
how's your day been different today, Henry?
It's been just the same as another day, but I did really good today because when we were doing a piece of writing of this song, we had to change it and do it like a poemy Macbethy thing. And I said to Mrs. Johnson, "It's so hard, I can't do it." But then when I got into it, and I really did it. I actually went up and I did it.
Okay, so you persevered.
Yeah.
And what's it been like for you?
It was really good. There was more time to finish off stuff.
Okay. And are you excited about maybe trying out this way for the week and
Yeah.
seeing what might be different? What do you think some of the pitfalls might be? Some of the things that could go wrong?
Something might go missing, like your piece of work.
Well, yeah.
Or,
I don't think anything could go wrong.
I think there might be, some hard maths coming.
Yeah, I've got a feeling there is.
Yeah.
But I might sneak out of it. No, I'm just joking.
I don't
Yeah, but there's some certain stuff you do have to do in the week. Like they said,
Every day.
So you make your own timetable.
No, you don't.
You do.
Yeah, you do. Oh, I thought you said
Set your own timetable, and they've got 3 things you have to do in that week.
Your,
Yeah.
15 minutes of timetables,
10
10 minutes of
spelling.
spelling.
We'll just stop it there at the moment. But I think what's really interesting is you start getting into this dialogue with children about organisation, perseverance, collaboration. You start to unpick the building blocks of what learning is, rather than just the content and the knowledge that will come as a result of being disorganised, this collaborative, this structured, or whatever it may be. So I think you're flipping learning on the head by the way they're discussing. This is just after 1 day of working this way. We then left it a few days, and then I interviewed the children again. And what's really interesting here is that this particular pupil is a high ability child, yet they had struggled with elements of the week, but just listen to the journey that they've been on. And this is day 4.
Okay, so who have I got today?
Noah, Nicole, Odette.
Noah, Nicole and Odette. What has been happening in Year 4 recently then, Odette?
Well, we've been able to choose our learning.
You've been able to choose your own learning activities, and how's that been different?
So Mrs. Johnson doesn't teach us, so we just pick what we want to do.
She doesn't teach you at all?
No.
What, she just sits there with her feet up all day?
No. She has focus groups, and she helps us with maths and French.
And how's it been going, Noah?
Good. I've had a few, let's say, not disadvantages. Times that I've been in the dip, which is basically, if you jump over the dip, then you're not challenging yourself. But if you go in the dip, then you are challenging yourself. And if you get out the dip, then you've done your work properly.
So this is like the learning pit.
Yeah.
So you've been in the learning pit a few times.
Yeah.
What's that felt like when you've been in there?
Hard.
Hard?
Annoying.
What does it feel like when you managed to work your way out?
Good.
Okay, so you've been able to learn from that experience.
Yeah.
Do you think this has helped you be more independent?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What does it feel like having learning that's more independent?
It feels actually very good because you don't literally copy people and you just focus on your like maths and stuff like that.
So would you recommend it?
Yes.
And what day is it today? It's Thursday today, so this is your 4th day. So you've had 3 full days already. You have Monday instructions, so 2 full days of working in this way. And do you want to carry this on for a bit longer?
Yeah.
Think it's worth keep exploring?
Yes.
What one thing would you like to see changed or improved, Noah?
I don't know. It's really messy.
Oh yeah, it is quite messy on the two.
And then they chatter. You're like, hello.
Yeah, we do have a separate classroom, so that does make it a bit noisier.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Interestingly, the children are starting to think about the environment now, which is something we do look at them with them a bit later on, and we start again. You can see that language of learning taking place and the importance of focus yet again. And now the point here is it's really hard to be brave and take those risks, but if you start to understand what they can do, you can really move forward and you can look at that in just a completely different way. And I've realised I've lost a video here, so let me see if I can find that video. I think it's going to be over here on another presentation, so give me one moment. Let's see, this is a video I would love to share with you all. So this is after, this is day 5 now, so this is actually talking to the whole class, and I won't play this all to you, but this is great, listening to the language of learning that children are starting to develop. And you'll see, from the space that we're in, it's a very traditional space, but I believe fundamentally in getting that pedagogy right.
Give everyone a wave. And we have been talking about how the learning in Year 4 has been different this week, and we heard a few voices on the screen here. Who's found this week really interesting? Just show of hands. Has a different approach to learning. Mrs. Johnson's got a hand up over here. What has been the biggest change for you? Let's have a chat. Yeah, what's been the biggest change?
Well, where we can choose our own things, it's you can choose your own time. It's help. I think it's actually helping getting our learning finished and done.
Okay, so it's helping you with what you get done. Okay, that's interesting. Erica, what about your view?
Well, I think it's easier to concentrate because you don't have everybody who's not doing the same. So you have slight different, but you still can ask somebody to help you. And we also can mark our own work at the back.
Okay, so you've been using the editing bench. You can tell me a bit more about the editing bench at the back of your room. Yes, James.
So the edit bench is where, so you've done your piece of work, and then you go to, instead of Miss Johnson marking it, we mark it, and then we put it in a little tray, so Miss Johnson checks it's right, and then she'll put a little tick.
Okay, so if I maybe say some words like creative, engaging, personalised, unique, different, what words would you pick out that summed up this week? If you were to think of one word that summed up this week, what one word would you pick out, Finley?
I'd say the one word I would pick out, challenging.
Challenging, that's a good
It's been
word.
a very challenging week trying to fit trying to fit all of that into the week, and I somehow have.
You somehow have, I like it.
Somehow have.
That's a good reflection.
Somehow.
Rowana?
Creative.
Creative, it's been creative. That's a good word to pick out. Why has it been creative?
Because we're being creative and learning.
Okay, that's a good reflection. Thank you for that, Henry.
I would say scientific.
Scientific. Out of all the words you could choose, you choose the word scientific. Why did you choose the word scientific, Henry?
Because we've never tried this out before, and it's new, and we're really having a good time with it. And this week it's been very scientific.
Right. So is it a scientific thing that you would like to carry on with?
Yes, definitely.
Definitely. Noah, what word would you use?
Majestic.
Majestic. That's an interesting word. Like the hands as well.
Yeah.
Why majestic?
It's been fun.
Think of a reason and maybe come back. Miss Hoskins,
Fantastic.
why has it been fantastic?
Well, I've liked going to do whatever I want in the week. Like,
So have you just been able to go outside and play on the trim trail?
No.
Whatever you want.
like whatever we want to do, like we could choose to do science, maths, literacy, French.
So has it been more personalised to you?
Yeah.
Do you feel that you've been more challenged this week than you were in the previous week?
Yes.
And is it good to be challenged?
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes hard, yeah?
Yeah.
Do you identify with what Noah said in the video about being in the pit?
Yeah.
Who else has been in the pit this week? Oh, how many hands of people that have been in the pit? Let's look around. Almost everyone's got their hands up.
That's a good place to end it. This does go on, and you can search this video and the children talk through what they've done. And for me, this is about really challenging the way that we've worked previously, holding dear to these principles of being brave and taking risks, while being really clear of what we believe education should look like, and making sure those children have got the opportunity to show us what they can do. And we are very much at the start of the journey. This project started at the end of January, and where are we now? It's the middle of May, and we're just getting going, really. And another part of this, and obviously one key area of A4LE, is actually looking at the environments in which we work, and we've been thinking about those as well. In particular, we started a makeover program to transform the spaces in which we work, and we're doing this on tiny budgets. Like lots and lots of schools, money is a challenge, but we're working with our community to make things happen. And we've been absolutely blessed by the support of our parents and carers. And in the video that I'm going to share with you now, and the transformation that we've made of our reception classroom, so much of it was done by our parent-carer community. People coming in for sanding parties on a Thursday evening to strip back places, people coming in at weekends to paint and pull up carpets and pull boards off, and we're just really thankful to them for going with us on this vision of making a difference for our young people. So this is a short video of how we transformed our reception classroom.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day. It's a new life for me, yeah. It's a new dawn, it's a new day. It's a new life for me. Ooh, and I'm feeling good. Fish in the sea, you know how I feel. River running free, you know how I feel. Blossom on the tree, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me, and I'm feeling good. Dragonfly out in the sun, you know what I mean, don't you know? Butterflies all having fun, you know what I mean? Sleep in peace when day is done, that's what I mean. And this old world is a new world, and a bold world for me. Ready, set, you know how I feel. 5, 4,
So in total, the project cost around 7,000 to complete. The major costs in that were the carpets, which you could phase in the future. It didn't have to be done in that moment. It was much used to be done when everything was out of the room. And it really has made a difference to how we're working. The space is now much more brighter. There's a lot more natural resources. The room is set up to support learning, and it really encapsulates a vision of how we want to move forward as a school. I'm going to stop talking now because I've talked for far too long. However, I hope what I've shared with you is interesting in some way. If you'd like to find out more about the school, please just Google us, the Prince of Wales School Dorchester, or drop me a tweet. That's my that's my Twitter handle there, @Noutclark. It's my surname backwards. It'd be great to hear that you've listened to this presentation and in some way found it useful. Thank you very much. Take care.